All right, everybody, this is Ross the Fig Boss. Today we are reviewing a fig that's new to me. It's called Small Camuna Black. And so let me show it to you guys right now. I've already cut it open, looked at the inside and said, well, this is a fig definitely worth reviewing. And so this is a fig, actually, just a little bit of the history on it. We can talk about that first. You can see, obviously, I mean, look at that. That's beautiful. Dark ruby red in there, a lot like a San Baggio or even a Verdino del Nord, something like I would imagine a cross between the two. The outside's nice and green, it's somewhat shriveled, and so this is a nice quality fruit. The history of it is that this is a fig that was talked about many years ago on Figs for Fun. And so Figs for Fun was the first online fig community, for those of you guys who are not aware, of people who are crazy about figs. They came together and talked about figs. And so on that community, one of the varieties there that was very rarely discussed was this one here. And it's called Small Camuna Black because it's supposed to be a black fig. But if you look at John Verdict, who is the owner of Figs for Fun, he has a variety list. And so I believe in there you can find some Small Camuna Black, and it turns out it's not black. In fact, I think he mentions that in his variety list there on his site. And so knowing that, it only to me makes sense that this is not really what I guess was originally intended to be that fig. So maybe this fig, whatever this is, probably the real name of this really isn't even Small Camuna Black. It's probably something else. And so I've never seen this fig before. I've never seen anything like it. I think it's truly unique, and it's not black. So I feel like in actuality, we should probably name it something else. I think a different name is probably more appropriate. And we'll see when I taste it, but I think it's worthy of a name because a fig that is obviously just very similar to another probably shouldn't even have a name, or a fig that maybe isn't very good doesn't necessarily need a name. But because this one I think is going to be a real winner here, I think it deserves a name. Now my friend Bill B down in Missouri, shout out to Bill, he's become a very good friend of mine. He was the guy who introduced to the fig communities a variety called the One, which we reviewed this year, which is a Celeste that has a bluer and grayer skin on the outside. And for me, that was a real winner here. It has a really short hang time, very short susceptibility window. And because Celeste has such a great skin to it, that fig's pretty much almost indestructible and probably would be one of the best varieties that I would highly, highly recommend for a humid place. Now, Bill's in Missouri is a pretty humid place as well. And it rains not as often as here. They don't get as much rain as we get, but certainly it's still, I would consider, a more humid environment. And so Bill, growing hundreds of varieties, was originally a part of Figs for Fun, along with myself, has come up with, obviously, being the one of the figs that he really enjoys, but also this one. And he's told me about it for a couple years now. He gave me a very, very small tree of it. And so I grew out that tree this year in this 5-gallon size pot. It took a while to get itself established because it was so small, but you know, figs are amazing. You know, it doesn't really matter the size of these things. As long as it's got a decent root system on it, they'll survive the winter if you protect them. And then the following season, if you have the right conditions, well-draining soil, you feed it well, they grow. And so this tree did well. It's now, from what was a really small tree, is now about, I don't know, 4.5 feet. And it has even a second branch down there at the bottom. And so I'm happy with it. This fruit here is not my own fruit. This is a fruit that actually came from a tree that Bill also sent me, because throughout the season, Bill has been sending me photos of every fig he grows. And so he's got the name of it with the fig itself. And so this one really caught my eye. I know he's been saying that he loves it. I know he's been saying all these nice things about it. He basically forced me to grow it. And so I'm happy he did, because this fig looks amazing. And so after seeing photos of the fig that he really likes, of the small Camuna Black, I was like, Bill, this is an amazing fig. I can't believe you found this thing. It's not even black like it's supposed to be. Like, it's totally forgotten about. No one has any idea about this fig. There's no knowledge on it whatsoever. You're basically the only one in the country probably growing it, other than John Verdict. And so what a great thing you found. This is amazing. And so this is why, growing all these interesting or different fig varieties is a huge benefit to our society, because at some point you find something that's really great and that a lot of people can benefit from and enjoy higher quality figs, even in a more humid place. And he says this one does really well in humid weather. It's a bit of a smaller fruit. I think he said that actually the hang time's a little bit longer, which is unfortunate, but it always dries in the tree, he says. They withstand that rain and they withstand that humidity, and so it has good drying capabilities. It's obviously a smaller fruit, so it should dry a bit quicker than others. I'd be surprised, honestly, if the hang time was a bit longer. Typically these smaller fruits, the hang time is a little bit shorter on average than a larger fig, because the humidity is kind of sucked out of the fruit and they tend to shrivel a lot easier. So I don't know, I haven't observed it. This is a fruit, by the way, that was sent to me on this tree. I said, Bill, I really love, by the way, this variety. I saw the pictures. I want to plant one of them in the ground, and if you have another one to spare, send me another one, because I honestly want to make as many copies of this as I can. Like, I really believe in this variety, even without even tasting it. Like, I haven't even eaten this yet. So he sent me this tree, and so he sent me this fig on it. He's like, Ross, I don't know if it's going to survive in the mail, but there's a fig that's on the tree that's shriveled. Hopefully you get to try it. And so he sent me this extra one. Bill, by the way, has said to me that if he could have one fig in his collection, it would be this one. And I think that's what he said. And he would have an orchard of just these trees. In fact, he wants to have, I think he said 10 trees. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said, roughly. And so this is like one of his best figs. It's one of his favorite figs. And so I totally am in agreement with him, even before even tasting it. Now, let's eat it. I guess we can finally eat it, because my plan today, after receiving the tree in the mail from him, is to not only taste this, evaluate the flavor, but I'm also going to plant one of these in the ground. This one here, I think I'm actually going to put in a pot so that we can further evaluate this next season. And then this one here that I've been growing for this full season has a larger root system, which is what I like to do, have a larger root system before I plant them. We'll plant this one right in the ground today. We're doing a lot of planting, a lot of moving things around. I've cut down a number of trees actually that aren't figs, and so we're getting certain things that I really like, more light. We're removing things that I don't necessarily like as much, like jujube trees and stuff like that, apple trees. But anyway, so that's the plan for today. Let's try it. Enough talk about it, about the history and all that. It's very good, guys. Has a nice figgy flavor. There's an earthiness to it. It's almost chalky. And there's a nice berry flavor. In fact, the berry flavor is pretty intense. The pulp is nice and jammy. I wouldn't say it's thick like a Col de Dame, but it's a jammier, thicker pulp. And so this has got everything I think you would want in a fig. It just clearly is above and beyond other varieties in terms of the flavor. So this is in a higher echelon of not only figs that should perform well here, but also taste great here. So figs like Smith, Hatib d'Argenteuil, I really like Castle Tricino now, Verdino del Nord, Verdolino. Probably you can put Salame in there as well. There's so many of them now that not only I think they taste great, but they also perform great. And so this is in that higher echelon of a fig that has both. And so that berry flavor is really nice. It also has the figginess, like I said. There's even a little bit of a seed crunch in there. And to me, there really is a bit of a chalkiness that comes from figs when you kind of dry them, and actually in my fridge, that chalkiness really comes through, and they have a nice earthiness to them. And it is obviously a little bit figgy, but I'm not going to say it's a figgy fig, like a sugar fig. But it's almost like if you took a sugar fig that had some earthiness and combined it with a flavor that has a really nice berry flavor. So to me, that's like a more complex berry flavor. I would give it, honestly, it's seriously one of the best tasting figs. It's probably like a 4.8, 4.9 out of 5. It's hard to get better than that, you know, and things like Black Madeira or De La Senora High Vernenca will be up there, and that's, to me, is as good as Smith or good as Verdino del Nord. So I want to show you guys really quickly the leaf pattern on this. I'm very curious to see how hardy this fig is, because the leaf pattern on a lot of these trees gives me a little bit of hints about the hardiness, and I wonder if this one would maybe have a little bit of a nicer hardiness. Definitely a unique leaf pattern. It reminds me of a hardy Chicago in a way, which is why I'm tempted to really test the hardiness of it. But the middle section here, this middle lobe, has got really jagged edges to it. And so it's almost in a way like a Rosalino as well. So I have a Rosalino over here really quickly. I think I can show you guys somewhere. There's a fig down there. Where is Rosalino? This is probably it right here. No, I don't think that's Rosalino. Here it is. It's right in front of my face. So you can see Rosalino is definitely not a hardy Chicago, but it has a similar feel to it. Similar, I guess, similar leaf pattern in some sense, but it's got, you know, the 5 lobes here in the back, if you count those, and then the 3 in the front, but the 3 in the front on the Rosalino are very long. And so this is almost, you could say, similar to Brunswick or Long de Oud or Dalmatie, but definitely a bit different, because in the middle here, some of them tend to have this jaggedness, and as you can see that there. So for me, what this is kind of like a cross in a way between Rosalino and hardy Chicago in terms of the leaf pattern. And so as the tree seems to be growing a bit more, I think I'll start seeing longer leaves or longer lobes. We'll see, because the leaf pattern will change a bit in the ground. Once it's less vigorous, you'll see something like that, which actually looks like a Celeste leaf or a hardy Chicago leaf a bit more. So there's definitely something going on with this tree. I have a feeling, very strong feeling, that it's just the right kind of fig for this climate. And also, here's the air layer he sent me. And you can see on here the same leaf pattern again with those jagged edges. It is truly unique in this sense. And then there's the fruit, elongated, had a closed eye, smaller fruit, green exterior, red interior, very, very good. So I'm gonna try to make as many copies of that as I can, and we'll be talking more about it for sure. So that's this one. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Check out our blog, figboss.com. See you for the next one, all right?